welcome back to the presentation podcast. I'm Cleva.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Mira.
So for this week's podcast, we interviewed Miss Coughlan and we were talking to her about mental health and college.
We hope that you found something useful in this. I know we definitely did, even just listening over it again.
To just introduce yourself quickly for anyone who doesn't know who you are.
Perfect. So my name is Miss Coughlan. I'm the guidance counsellor in Presentation Ballyfian. I also teach geography, and you'll find me doing the career guidance as well in secondary school.
Would you like to tell us about your journey through the school system, like secondary school specific?
Brilliant. How much time do we have? So I went to secondary school in an all-girls secondary school in West Cork, and I really enjoyed school. I was one of the person who loved going to school because I loved to enjoy it. I had great friends there. Subjects I tried, but I wasn't the best at everything, but I was really there for the fun of it. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do in secondary school, and I went to my guidance counsellor, and I also went to a guidance counsellor outside of school just to get a bit of clarity on what to do in life. So then I actually ended up doing an arts degree because I wasn't very sure, and an arts degree is quite broad, so you can choose different subjects and so on. So in first year I studied history, geography, French and religion because I knew they were subjects that I could teach if I wanted to. And then in year 2 and 3 I went on to study history and geography because they're the ones I was most passionate about. I was interested in them. And then after that, I think it was my mother said, do you know what, you'd be a good teacher, maybe you should go down that line. And I gave it a go, and it's something I actually thoroughly enjoy. So to become a teacher at the time, I had to do one extra year, which was called the HDIP. That's now changed to the PME, which is the Postgraduate Masters in Education, which is now 2 years, unfortunately. But there's good things about that PME because you can try different schools. You can, in year 1 you can go to a girls' school, in year 2 you can go to a boys' school, so you get a little bit more experience than all mine was pushed into 1 year. After that, I said, do you know what, I love UC. I loved college life as well. I really enjoyed it. I was playing sport with UC ladies and the football crowd, and it was just fantastic. So I said, I'd go back again. I went back to do a master's in women's studies, which was a bit of a random one really, but I really enjoyed that because the thesis that I did was all about women in the GA and inequality. So I just felt like, in my experience, playing with Cork underage and different football teams, my local team and things like that, that we were always unequal when it came to men. Men would always get the field first, they'd always get the better pitches, they'd get the stadiums and all that. So I went and I did a 25,000 word thesis on gender inequality within the GAA. I got to interview loads of people, loads of kind of my role models and things like that, which was great because college gives you that you can go out and just research and do things you're actually genuinely interested in. So the conclusion there about the whole thesis was that women were definitely underrepresented when it came to sport, but also a thing that was really key and really shocked me is that women tend not to support women. And I found that shocking, to be honest, because we often go to some of the men's bigger games and things like that because they're obviously in bigger stadiums and so on. But like, if we start to support women at a local level and encourage other women, then we'll do a lot better in that arena. I then completed that master's, and I can't remember what I did next. I went back to do a master's in guidance and counselling. Now this was a 2-year master's, so I did it part-time. So I was teaching here in Pres Ballyfian. I started off here, and over 7 years ago, and I did a 2-year part-time master's in guidance and counselling. So that's split into two. Half your time is doing counselling and half your time is doing career guidance. Once I qualified in that, I became the guidance counsellor here in school, which really changed my teaching role. So not only, you think you go out into the world becoming a teacher, but there's so many different avenues you could take in teaching as well, so it's great opportunities. And then after that, just last year, I did my final postgrad. Well, I call it my final postgrad, but I don't know, in educational leadership and management. So with the view to maybe someday I might like to become a vice principal. The option is there if I have the kind of education done in it. It gave me great insights. It's something I like, and that's the key thing. If I was talking to anyone going to college, find out what you're passionate about and go for it, because anything's possible.
What about like your career journey? Like, what other jobs did you have before teaching, or were there any other careers that you were interested in, like at our age or anything?
Definitely, yeah. Again, like I said there, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do in secondary school. And the two other options I looked at were nursing. In 5th year, I just wanted to be a nurse. That was it. I don't really know what put me off it. Like I had, like back in the day when I could go out and work experience in 4th year, I got to go into a hospital in West Cork and see the insights of the job. I just felt like I was changing my gloves all the time, you know, to be so hygienic, and it was really good insight into it. But my job at the time was to watch this patient who kept doing a runner. I think he had dementia, so the alarm would go off and I'd be off running after him. But he never escaped me, thank God. But it was great insight in 4th year, and that's what 4th year should get, more experience in those things. It's so unfortunate with COVID and everything that you can't get that fruitful experience that I got. The other thing I did just as work experience was I worked in with a solicitor. So that was good insight as well, and it's only through that work experience, because you don't get exposure to much really in school, only from what you see online, and maybe if your parents or guardians are doing something at home, you get that insight. But the other thing I want to do is join the guards, and I often think, you know, maybe that I would still like to do it, but my eldest brother is a guard, and he had a couple of years experience, and he said it's tough going, there's shift work, you know, there's different elements to the job, and he just, you know, he guided me towards, he thought it'd be better with secondary school kids and giving it a go that way.
What were your own methods for managing your mental health through leaving Cert College, that kind of stuff?
I suppose I've learned different techniques over time. You know, it all depends on what you're going through. With exam stress, like, I found it really difficult, and at the time I was, you know, maybe I didn't take the Leaving Cert as serious as what I should have. And like, some people have to go through that experience to discover, you know, what they really want to do and how they should work harder in different things. But for me, it was sport, like getting out in the sporting field. You could leave out all that tension. You had a you know, and it gives you different, you know, adrenaline, different things that are good for your body and therefore good for your mind. And I think there's a poster there. Where is it?
It's
Well,
over
it's over
here.
there,
The
of
more
course,
you
it's over
move, the
there.
better you mood.
The more you move, the better your mood, and that's literally a thing. But you often get in a mindset when you're in senior cycle that you're so stressed out from the day and you're wrecked from school that the last thing you want to do is get out into the cold. But if you can, even for 30 minutes, bringing the dog, bringing a friend, doing something, just getting out for that time, it does change your whole mindset. And I found that was the most effective thing I used to do when I was in 6th year. Every evening I'd walk down to our pier, and just to be near the water was just obviously brilliant. Like, you know, and you have the loch nearby here, most people have access to that. Things like that that change your mindset, and you have a plan. The biggest thing is that you have a set routine. This is what I'm doing, and you have that sense of achievement all the time. So I had a massive board in front of me, and I tick off, you know, I'm after doing this small section, I can park that now, that's it, done. You just feel like you're getting somewhere. Because with the Leaving Cert, sometimes you can be so stressed and so much going on that you often feel like you're going nowhere, and it's a long journey, and you just have to see after yourself to get the best out of it.
What would you say are some general tips mental health wise for everyone to use?
I think one that, and the girls will laugh at this one now, but it's just deep breathing, but doing it properly and actually practicing it every day, because it relaxes our mind and our body, and it's something simple that everyone can do. And it's not just about, you know, when I ask girls in class to deep breathe, it's like I'm being dramatic about it. It's literally about getting there, down through your lungs, into your stomach, so that you feel the relaxation, you feel it's therapeutic, you know. But when I ask people to do it, they often don't do it right, and therefore it's ineffective. And if you don't practice it every day, you're not going to get the best out of it. It's like preparing for a match, you know. If you're training all the time, or you're doing the right training, you'll do well. And that's just a very simple technique, I would say.
What would be some of your general tips for helping with like studying, especially like gearing towards the Leaving Cert?
I suppose right now we're in kind of prep mode for Christmas exams and things like that. And like I just mentioned, there we go. Just like every student's going to get a timetable, and if you can like set out a portion of your evening where you can do really effective study, and like usually this is after dinner time. It's not going to be 10 o'clock at night. Have your dinner when you get home. Do the most productive work you can do between that 2 or 3 hour span, and then take a break, because you have already had a very long day in school, and loads of things could have gone on for you in that day in school. So therefore, when you get home in the evening, eat well, have a big dinner for yourself, eat all the good stuff that's nutritious to your body, and that will set you up then for being really productive. Study if you can at all, and then get out into the fresh air. Go to somewhere you enjoy, meet up with a friend, do something for yourself that breaks up the evening. And if it's a horrible night because we're in December, watch something on Netflix, do something that you enjoy, draw something, listen to music. And if you do all those things, it will make life a little bit easier for you because you'll be on top of things. But this happens every day. You know, if you keep that routine every day, brilliant. Sometimes we get sick and it puts us off. Sometimes we have a bad day. As long as we can get back into that routine, that's what will help.
What are some supports that are available in regards to mental health?
So there's actually loads of sports. Are we talking about just in school, is it?
In general, really, or whichever, really, to be honest.
So I suppose one thing's for sure, like if you're in school and maybe sometimes we don't recognise when we're stressed and we're having a bad day, and it might come out in different behaviours that we don't actually mean. It's just sometimes it's when we don't eat properly as well. But the key thing is that if you have a friend, or if you recognise a friend who's going through that, maybe having an off day, or maybe they're not themselves, maybe refer them yourself down to a guidance counsellor. Just to talk to someone, to have that space, come down to the lovely chill out zone that we have here, and maybe just take a moment for themselves. You also have, just within the school structure, you have your class teacher to talk to, you have your year head, you have the vice principal, and all these people are there to support you the best they can, even if it's just about getting through that day. I suppose if there's something that really is bothering you, I would usually refer to a counselling agency. It depends on what you're experiencing. But Jigsaw would obviously be a brilliant one for like people who might be experiencing an exam stress or anxiety and things like that. Often I use the services of maybe Pieta House. There's some fantastic organisations that are really helpful to our students. There's also great resources, like there's helplines and things like that a lot of our girls find good, because it's not just the 9 to 6. You can ring at whatever time of night that you need to use it. And I have those posters actually up around the school. Can I grab one just to show everyone that? Now I have these all over the school, and they're on most doors as well. So like all the helplines are there, even if it's an email, everyone has a phone now just to contact, and they're just really, really helpful. But use them if you need them. If you think a friend needs them, show them this, send them a picture of it, and it could really help someone if they need it. So that's what I'd recommend, really.
What are some tips that you have for people who are under too much pressure or are suffering from burnout?
So I would have had a few students who were really burnt out. They actually were doing too much in the evening, that they were actually burning themselves out. So like I said earlier, it's about getting a plan that's actually sustainable, doing something every evening, that kind of ticking a box, and be realistic about it. Do you can't literally spend 6 hours an evening because you're not going to be productive. And what I find to be very, very effective is doing homework, getting it out of the way, getting it done well, because I'll see doing homework is what you're doing in school every day. It's just reaffirming that. But maybe taking half an hour to pick one subject and do that. Use the weekends as well. Don't leave everything for the old Sunday night fear. It's a big thing for our girls. They leave everything till Sunday, and you're just not set up for the week then. Yeah, the eyes are going here. But listen, if you have get out of the way Friday, you need time to yourself as well on the Sunday. Let Sunday be your mental health day, and enjoy it the best you can. But get the work out of the way first, because you'll enjoy the time off much, much better then once you're not stressed about everything else.
What are some supports that are available for people in regards to college?
So there's actually fabulous resources when it comes to college, and a lot of it is online. And unfortunately, due to COVID, we have to use these online resources, and I'll just mention 3 in particular that are really, really fruitful if you want to research courses or find out a little bit more about them. One is Qualifax. Everyone's sick of Qualifax, basically, because I'm always mentioning it. But it's a great way to kind of pick a course you're interested in, and it gives you every college that hosts that course, and it gives you all the modules to study. The other thing there is Careers Portal, and the good thing about Careers Portal is that each year that they sit the leaving cert, you can see in the exams, in the certain subjects, how many people got a H1, how many people got a H2 in these subjects. And that gives people a little bit of insight if they are aiming for that H1. Is it very achievable? I think last year the highest percentage of H1s were given to those who sat the Russian exam. So it's just, it's insightful. If you know those things, you're like, you can make better informed decisions. Obviously, don't all rush off now and do Russian, but and then the final thing there is a thing called uni. It's YOONI, and that's a good one I think for 5th and 6th years because it's kind of like what you're doing. It's a podcast, but it gives the insight into someone actually studying the course at the moment. And what you do is shove it in to your AirPods in the evening when you're out for a walk, and you just get a little bit of insight of particular courses. So that's a nice one. And I think there are 3 great resources. What we do here in school, College Awareness Week. So that's when I bring in past pupils to hopefully inspire and motivate some of our girls and give them a little bit of insight as well. And what I found the best thing about last week when we had College Awareness Week was that it started discussions that girls wouldn't have had before. You know, some girls would have all said, I'm not going to college, and that kills me. But it doesn't really, but like it should be an opportunity and it should be something that is considered at least. Don't just say no straight away, at least just consider it and see if it's for you. College is not for everyone either, but it does open more opportunities to people, and that's why I want them just to be open to that. And then we always have Nave Minahan. The big thing about our school is that we have access to the Here and There scheme because we are part of a DESH school. And they are great schemes in order to support and help people to get into college.
Do you have any advice for students like ourselves who are either in 5th or 6th year and are kind of trying to figure out what they want to do in college? Do you have any advice towards that?
Best advice is that you meet me like once a year for a sit down kind of vocational interview, and I can only do so much there, but it is down to the onus of the person because you're all uniquely different, uniquely individual, and you have to do the research, and it's only through that research in the prospectuses I give you or in the Google Classroom kind of opportunities that I highlight, it's through that you start to discover. Because you know, if you didn't have a great 4th year because of COVID and whatever, and your opportunities were reduced, you can now, you know, do different things yourself by either doing work shadowing or different things that's going to give you better insights. But ultimately, it does come down to the person. Use your guidance counsellor. Like, come down, and I'm always kind of accepting of emails. I do eventually get back to people, and different things. But like, use the resources you have, but you have to research yourself because I can't make the decision for you. Ultimately, I can help you and guide you. Pick what you're good at. Pick what you're interested in. Pick your strengths, and put them all together to kind of push you towards something that you might be good at. But ultimately, it comes down to you.
Perfect. That's brilliant to know.
Super.
That's it. Thank
It
you.
is well done. Thank you.
Okay, so we hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. We definitely did. We thought it was very helpful to listen, especially about college and being in 5th year and all, and kind of getting to that stage where we have to start thinking about college.
We hope you enjoyed.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
And for today's podcast, we interviewed Miss Coughlan, and we were talking to her about college and mental health and just kind of some advice in general. No, I need to say that again because that makes no sense. I didn't know what was coming out of my mouth. I tried my head. I just keep noticing his little nugget head right here.
Just stop looking at him.
It's really hard. No, but then I look at you and you're like,
I like this in hair.
you come on, like. Not me this time, I swear.
I would say
What time is it there?
Yeah, I was just going to say I missed track.
1:20.
Okay, I should have been gone 5 minutes ago. Do you want to take the rest?
Yes, I will take
Great.
over.
Thanks, Mira.
Okay, what's the next one? So that was number 5.
We hope that you found something useful in there. Laura, oh my god, I'm going to kill
I
you.
didn't think you were going to speak. I said for today's podcast, which is, isn't it? Don't I usually say for this week's podcast?
You say a mixture of everything.
Do I? I thought I always say for this week.
Sometimes you say today we're going to be, and then sometimes you say this
Yeah,
week we're
that's
going
what
to
I
be.
usually say. That's
And
what I
then
usually say.
sometimes it's for today's podcast, and then other times it's for this week's podcast.
I thought I usually say for this week's podcast.
Do you really want me to go back and rewatch over every single
No.
intro that we've done? To
No,
try and find out?
I just thought I did. I don't know. Anyway, okay, let me do
You
it.
can
So.
say whatever you want to say. You can say different things on different times if you want to as well. That is okay.
I know. It's just.
I'm shining. I look like he just came from the heavens.
Oh Christ! Go on. Oh.
Welcome back to the presentation podcast. I'm Quiva.
I know. I'm sorry.
to see you try so hard.
I'm actually trying though, that's the thing.
Give me a second.
Don't try. Chip, no.
Welcome back to the presentation podcast. I'm Quiva.
I'm Laura.
And
No,
I'm
I'm
Mira.
sorry. I tried not to,